Hello and welcome to our episode today that deals with internet sourcing, web technologies and its applications, and internet potential and limitations, priorities and utilization. More specifically, the various approaches and techniques used in web services for online media are discussed in detail. Also, the internet sourcing, web technologies and its applications of web services are to be looked into. In the realms of web service refers to the approach used to attract the attention of consumers and even about the misusage of it. The basic purpose is to influence consumer feelings towards a product, service or cause. Our subject expert is Ajay Kumar Datta and I am Sakshi Mandwal. Ajay Kumar Datta is a seasoned entrepreneur and website designer with more than a decade of industry as well as relative field experience. Now, let us look at this internet sourcing. Sourcing is a talent management discipline which is focused on the identification, assessment and engagement of skilled worked candidate through proactive recruiting techniques. For that, professional candidates focus to work like software development, testing, networking or doing research on IT. All of these revolve around three most common user interface technology of IT: desktop software, web software and mobile software. All the three interface technology software can be developed in two patterns: open source like Java and paid source like .NET. PHP is the open source language which is widely used for web software. Two types of sourcing. 1. Primary sourcing or phone sourcing. 2. Secondary sourcing, internet sourcing. In recruiting and sourcing, this means the leveraging of techniques, primarily the phone, to identify candidates with limited to no presence of these individuals in any easily accessible public forum, the internet, published list, etc. It requires the uncovering of candidate information via a primary means of calling directly into organizations to uncover data on people, their role, title and responsibilities. The term phone sourcers or phone name generator or telephone name sourcer generally applies to the utilization of primary sourcing techniques. In recruiting and sourcing, this means using of techniques such as primarily internet to identify candidates. Individuals in the recruiting industry that have deep expertise in uncovering talent in the harder to reach places on the internet, forums, blogs, alumni groups, conference attendee lists, personal home pages, social networks, etc. With the boom of social networks and the more people sharing information about themselves on the internet, the amount of data has become unmanageable. Internet sourcing techniques: X-raying, flipping, peeling back. Web technologies. Number 1. Markup languages section includes all markup languages including HTML, XML and SGML. Documentation in this section currently includes an HTML guide, XML guide and a document type definition, DTD reading reference. Number 2. CGI section includes 4 documents describing implementation of the client to server web interface. It includes information about the Common Gateway Interface (CGI), server side includes SSI, JavaScript and writing Perl script programs. Number 3. HTTP section. This section currently includes an HTTP reference which is based on RFC 2616. It has brief descriptions of the HTTP request and response headers and also lists the possible response headers such as 404 not found. Number 4. PHP. PHP is a scripting language that runs on the web server and the script code is embedded in the HTML document. It is easy to use with syntax similar to C, which is why it is so popular. This section includes a PHP introduction manual. Number 5. Java section. Documentation is being generated for this section. It currently contains some web links. Number 6. MIME. M-I-M-E section. This section describes multipurpose internet mail extension along with its purpose, and it also includes a few MIME related web links. Number 7. Graphics. GIF files used to add graphics to web pages. What are the main advantages of teaching learning using social web technologies? More control on the learning process by the learners themselves, more focus on the learning part, trading with a lesser weight on the teaching part, increased importance of the learning process with the decreased relative importance of the content in the syllabus, opening of the formal learning processes towards scenarios belonging to the scope of non-formal learning and especially of informal learning, dramatic increase of the learning resources, content, experts, tools at the learner's reach, merging and confusion of the different areas of life, learning, professional, personal, leisure. What are the main disadvantages of teaching learning using social web technologies? They demand high or highest digital competence. These are a must to make the best of social web technologies and an important barrier of entrance. They require certain knowledge in identifying one's training and educational needs and being able to formulate them as such. They require certain capacity to design autonomous learning strategies. Abundance of resources imply that filtering becomes necessary, and thus filtering competences are important. Even with the appropriate filtering competences, noise and distraction will happen. Merging and confusion of the different areas of life, learning, professional, personal, leisure. Indeed, this is a double-edged sword. Applications of web technologies. Number 1. Real-time web analytics. Number 2. Digital advertising. 3. E-commerce. 4. Publishing. 5. Massively multiplayer online games. 6. Backend services and messaging. 7. Project management and collaboration. 8. Real-time monitoring services. 9. Live charting and graphing. 10. Group and private chat. The development of the internet has created many opportunities for expanding the way that knowledge and services have traditionally been disseminated in all businesses and fields of study. Along with these new opportunities for development comes the potential to misuse this technology. Misuse of the internet can easily damage the reputation of the field and result in harm to individual clients. As a means of establishing standards for the proper use of the internet, it is essential that ethical guidelines be expanded to include the use of the internet in sport psychology. This position stands several of the potential uses of the internet in sports psychology, describes several problems and unethical practices that must be considered when using the internet, provides a rationale for the development of internet standards, and proposes an initial set of ethical standards for the use of the internet. Consumer-related computer technology seemingly changes on a daily basis. The internet and other technologies also continue to grow and develop at a similarly astounding pace. As these changes occur, people continue to find new and innovative ways of utilizing these technological advancements for their personal and professional benefit. The field of sports psychology is not an exception to this trend. Professionals and laypersons both use the internet extensively in business, industry, communication, education, and entertainment. The internet provides a variety of services that enable individuals to obtain valuable information for their needs. These services are often rapid and inexpensive. The use of the internet by professionals has largely improved communication and the dissemination of information amongst professionals, students, and laypersons. These advancements in technology lead not only to positive consequences and the advancement of the field, but also bear ethical dilemmas which are of interest to the profession. With the continuous development of new and more powerful forms of communication and information retrieval, it is inevitable that individuals in the field of sports psychology will harness these resources for personal and professional growth. The utilization of these resources can have both positive and negative effects upon the on psychology and the clients that are served. In order to accentuate the benefit of this technology and minimize the pitfalls, guidelines should be developed to help structure the manner in which the internet is used. Several issues related to the use of the internet for professional consultation that have not been researched and need to be examined. There are several crucial questions related to the use of the internet that need to be answered before one can use and provide services which meet reliable, professional, and ethical standards. The quality of information resources might not always be reliable and accurate. Searching of information can be very tedious. It is definitely time consuming. Performance and speed are the main limitations to today's internet also. A person using a high-speed corporate network might download web pages at speeds of millions of bits per second, but a home user might get only 1/10 or 1/100th of that speed. The internet is unable to reconcile the whole world to decide what is good and what is not. The biggest issue here are plagiarism, copyright, porn, and twisted content that is legal depending geographically where you live. For example, in some countries, it is legal to upload copyrighted material but not download. In others, you can download but not upload. And in many, you can't legally do any. The internet is limited by its bandwidth. In regular applications, this is negligible, but in bigger commercial applications or in subdeveloped countries, the bandwidth is a major issue. The internet is also limited to the IP addresses. Currently, there are enough IP addresses, but the demand is ever increasing. The internet openness allows viruses to spread very fast, making some viruses spread to millions around before being contained. Also, the information available on the internet is not always verifiable, as users may edit and alter the perceived reality as they see fit, altering articles, photos, and even videos. Example, Wikipedia once reported someone dead and it was written on big newspapers. This openness also allows to spam and poison search results intentionally and unintentionally. Spam is a big issue that may never be resolved. To prioritize the internet, the Association for Progressive Communications came out with its stand. APC is an international network of civil society organizations whose goal is to empower and support groups and individuals working for peace, human rights, development, and protection of the environment through the strategic use of information and communication technologies, ICTs, including the internet. APC said it had participated extensively in the internet governance process at the World Summit on Information Society. It says, out of this participation and in collaboration with other partners, including members of the WSIS Civil Society, Internet Governance Caucus, APC has crystallized a set of recommendations with regard to internet governance ahead of the final summit in Tunis in November 2005. APC proposed specific actions in each of these 5 areas: the establishment of an Internet Governance Forum, the transformation of ICANN into a global body with full authority over DNS management and an appropriate form of accountability to its stakeholders in government, private sector, and civil society. the initiation of a multi-stakeholder convention on internet governance and universal human rights that will codify the basic rights applicable to the internet, which will be legally binding in international law with particular emphasis on clauses in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights directly relevant to the internet, such as the rights to freedom of expression, association and privacy. Ensuring internet access is universal and affordable. APC argued, the internet is a global public space that should be open and accessible to all on a non-discriminatory basis. The internet, therefore, must be seen as a global public infrastructure. In this regard, we recognize the internet to be a global public good related to the concept of the common heritage of humanity, and access to it is in the public interest and must be provided as a global public commitment to equality. Measures to promote capacity building in developing countries with regard to increasing developing country participation in global public policy forums on internet governance. A worldwide survey of more than 10,000 internet users in 20 countries conducted by the Internet Society revealed attitudes towards the internet and user behavior online. The Global Internet User Survey is one of the broadest surveys of internet user attitudes on key issues facing the internet. This year's survey covered areas such as how users manage personal information online, attitudes towards internet and human rights, censorship, and the potential for the internet to address issues such as economic development and education. Today's online users have high expectations for the internet and its impact on our lives and society, while also expressing concerns over censorship and excessive governmental controls, said Lynn St. Amor, President and CEO of the Internet Society. As part of realizing the Internet Society's vision of an internet that is for everyone, this survey uniquely focuses on users and their experiences, attitudes, and opinions on how to meet the challenges and opportunities facing the internet and society in general. We are committed to the internet's continued open growth and evolution, not only for those who enjoy the internet today, but until everyone is able to access and benefit from an open internet. Key findings from this year's survey cover a broad range of topics: the internet and human rights. 83% of respondents agreed or agreed strongly that access to the internet should be considered a basic human right. 89% agreed or agreed strongly that internet access allows freedom of expression on all subjects, and 86% agreed or agreed strongly that freedom of expression should be guaranteed. 60% of respondents agreed or agreed strongly that internet access has contributed significantly to civil action and political awareness in their country. Internet censorship. 30% of users agreed strongly that censorship currently exists on the internet. 66% of respondents agreed or agreed strongly that governments in countries with no internet censorship have a responsibility to keep the internet free of censorship in countries where the internet is being censored, controlled, shut down. More than 70% of users agreed or agreed strongly that more government involvement would make the internet too controlled or would limit content they can access. More than two-thirds agreed or agreed strongly that increased government control would inhibit the growth of the internet and or stifle innovation. Online privacy and identity. Even when users know they are sharing personal data with a site or service, most users, 80%, do not always read privacy policies, and a significant fraction, 12% of respondents, admit that they never read privacy policies. Of users who logged into online services, only half reported that they logged out. 19% of respondents were aware of circumstances in which personal data was used in a way they did not expect. The most commonly reported consequences were unsolicited communications, stolen personal data, private data becoming public, impersonation, and financial loss. The Internet and economic and societal issues. Nearly two-thirds of respondents agreed or agreed strongly that the Internet would play a significant role in solving global problems. A majority of respondents felt strongly that the Internet plays a significant role in making improvements to business, science and technology in areas such as expanding the availability of goods and services, 66%, allowing entrepreneurs to conduct business across all countries, 65%, and advancing science and technology and creating a technologically recognized workforce, 61%. Attitude towards the Internet. 98% of users agreed or strongly agreed that the Internet is essential for their access to knowledge and education. More than 80% agreed or agreed strongly that the Internet plays a positive role for their individual lives as well as society at large. Nearly 75% of users strongly agreed that access to the Internet allows them to seek any information that interests them. Internet has grown exponentially, enabling users to communicate with each other and share information. As a result, libraries have embraced Internet in order to deliver improved services, extend and expand the scope of what they offer, marketing and the dissemination of information. One of the keys to the development of any business is marketing. Effective marketing strategies enable potential consumers to become aware of the quality and types of services available to them. The Internet can serve as an efficient and effective means of disseminating information to consumers. Marketing strategies commonly include the development of www homepages and advertisements on websites, engines, and bulletin boards. These www websites go one step further than traditional marketing approaches and provide a forum for question and answer services, self-help, psychoeducational resources, example, imagery and goal setting, exercises, and the procurement of professional resources, example, books, videos, tapes, distance learning, guidance, and supervision. Presently, several universities and organizations provide distance learning opportunities in all fields over the Internet. Through the use of websites, individuals are able to learn about course assignments, read the necessary text assignments, watch lectures, ask questions of professors and classmates, receive instructional guidance, and turn in assignments. These opportunities allow individuals to live and work in one geographic area of the world and take specific classes offered in other geographic locations to round out their knowledge base. Quality supervision is one of the keys to the development of effective skills in all areas of professional practice. The Internet can now be used as a tool to access the experience of domain-specific specialists in distant locations. For example, this technology now makes individual and group supervision possible with experts from all domains worldwide, which can facilitate the dissemination of new and innovative skills and enhance the professional development worldwide. Counseling or performance enhancement. Use of Internet technology allows individuals and teams or groups from diverse backgrounds and geographic locations to receive professional guidance from practitioners. Technology such as video, conferencing, email, telephone, and chat rooms make it possible for anybody with access to the appropriate resources to have contact with a service provider. These Internet resources also make it much easier for physically disabled individuals with reduced mobility to receive services. Internet technology also makes face-to-face meetings more efficient by allowing both parties to improve their relationship. Broadly speaking, the difference is not necessarily determined by the access to the Internet, but by access to ICT, information and communications technologies, and to media that the different segments of society can use. With regards to the Internet, the access is only one aspect. Other factors such as the quality of connection and related services should be considered. Today, the most discussed issue is the availability of the access at an affordable cost and quality. The idea that some information and communication technologies are vital to quality civic life is not new. Some suggest that the internet and other ICTs are somehow transforming society, improving our mutual understanding, eliminating power differentials, realizing a truly free and democratic world society, and other benefits. Literacy is arguably another such element. Although it is not related to any new technologies or latest technological devices, it is a very widely shared view in many societies that being literate is essential to one's career, to self-guided learning, to political participation, and to internet usage. There are a variety of arguments regarding why closing the digital divide is important. The major arguments are: number one, economic equality. Some think that the access to the internet is a basic component of civil life that some developed countries aim to guarantee for their citizens. Telephone is often considered important for security reasons. Health, criminal and other types of emergencies might indeed be handled better if the person in trouble has an access to the telephone. Another important fact seems to be that much vital information for people's career, civic life, safety, etc. are increasingly provided via the internet. Even social welfare services are sometimes administered and offered electronically. Number two, social mobility. Some believe that computer and computer networks play an increasingly important role in their learning and career, so that education should include that of computing and use of the internet. Without such offerings, the existing digital divide works unfairly to the children in the lower socio-economic status. In order to provide equal opportunities, governments might offer some form of support. Number three, democracy. Some think that the use of the internet would lead to a healthier democracy in one way or another. Amongst the most ambitious visions are that of increased public participation in elections and decision-making processes. Number four, economic growth. Some think that the development of information infrastructure and active use of it would be a shortcut to economic growth for less developed nations. Information technologies in general tend to be associated with productivity improvements. The exploitation of the latest technologies may give industries of certain countries a competitive advantage. Rural area access. The accessibility of rural areas to the internet is a test of the digital divide. But nowadays, there are different ways to eliminate the digital divide in rural areas. Use of power lines, PLT and PLC, and satellite communications offer new possibilities of universal access to the internet, and lack of telephone lines will not limit access. Lower access prices are required to bridge the ICT divide. Disabilities. Disabilities of potential internet users constitute another type of divide, and care should be taken to avoid that persons with disabilities be left out of internet access. In this course, we are focused to the internet sourcing, web technologies and its applications. So also the internet potential and limitations, priorities and utilization. More specifically, the various kinds of approach and techniques used in web services for online media are discussed in detail. Also, the internet sourcing, web technologies, and its applications of web services are to be looked into. In the realms of web service refers to the approach used to attract the attention of consumers and even about the misuse of it. The basic purpose is to influence consumer feelings towards a product, service or cause. Thank you for being with us. Hope you all had a great learning experience. Till the next time, it's a goodbye.